bankers, and I've seen a lot of cops. I've seen a lot of lawyers pull out all the stops. I've seen a lot of children with their parents in their hands. I've felt a lot of women who refuse to understand. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fires going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They take you for your money, I'm whatever else spring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. 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 Took everything that I had, yeah. Walked away, but you left one thing behind. You're wondering just what that is. Yes, you are. Well, the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. When the wall comes tumbling down, I'll be there. When the world stops spinning around, I'll be rocking. We're gonna make a little love down by the water. Maybe I'm the sun, maybe I'm a daughter when the music man calls. That's when I gotta play. So I burn for the things I never had. I'm burning with Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way the music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the lands of the new. Oh, na 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 na. I have lost my friend. Catching sunset on the highway again. Then I get lost on a long summer day. I must go back before it's too late. You're afraid, you're feeling alone. Time and space can never unfold. The holidays can ring in your fear. The ghost-stream embrace can only mean tears. And I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back for lands of blue. Oh, na 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 na. At the lake, I'm feeling confused, but I had my guitar, so I played this blues. But I'm afraid, the world might be true, that I might never be back again. Someone to take me down at night. Someone to make my day. New revelation fills my soul. Oh, I can waste away. You distracting my attention. You're all that's on my mind. Not looking for perfection, but you're too hard to find. Now the first night is coming, and I know what to do. You know that nothing feels sweeter than someone new. you. Oh, you. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Where did my color go? Got your head in the sand. You can't be in control using a powerful hand. I wanna be you, I wanna see you. Don't taste the.
Hey, what it is, what it is, what's going on? How you doing? Happy Friday. We are live. We are live tonight, and it's Friday night yet again. Hello to everybody. I see a lot of people in the chat already. We got Josh Hogarth, Dave Barnett, Sean Nielsen's in there. He's probably imaging right now. Thank you, Brampton Observatory, for the donation. Thank you so much. He already started up at $50 Canadian donation, and you're welcome for the shirt. You're paying for it, so I'm glad you got it. I hope everyone's looking forward to this lovely Labor Day weekend. Looks like we had all the nice clear weather before the weekend. Now the weekend is looks kind of shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually set up right now. I'm going to try and get some more on the Crescent Nebula. Hey, Wade, what's going on? So I'm going to get some more on the Crescent. I'm trying to finish up this. I'm doing the Crescent for the first 2 hours. I'm waiting for the Wizard to get across the brand new telephone wire that I have installed. So once it gets above the telephone wire, I'm going to switch over to the Wizard and get the S2 that I'm waiting on the Wizard as it skims over the telephone wire. So how's everybody doing? Pete, welcome back.
It's been a while. I know it's been a while. Hey, I'm just curious. Has Scotty been out with that beast yet? Since for the last 3-4 weeks?
I haven't had a chance. The last 3 weeks, it has rained every single day for like the last 3 weeks, and I mean like crazy rain. We've been getting. We had some thunderstorms through here. We had 3 trees not my neighborhood, in the circle that I'm in. 3 trees got hit by lightning.
Oh my God!
Whoa!
It's been absolutely nuts off the Gulf.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yep. I haven't been able to do jack. The rain, it rolls in like you just wouldn't believe. I haven't been able to do anything. I have been messing around with it though, settings and playing around with Nina a little bit, and getting things tweaked. But as far as actually putting it outside, I'm scared to right now. I'm afraid to. Yeah. I mean, God forbid, the torrential. You should see some of the torrential rain that comes down here. It's insanity. It'll put 3 inches of water in my pool in 20 minutes.
Damn! Send it over this way. We need it.
Yeah, you guys do need it.
Oh man, are you kidding me? Right now, they're saying that this is going to be the heat wave of the season. Here in Placerville, it's going to be 106, 109 tomorrow. That means it's going to be 115 in the valley. It's going to be
Wow.
brutal.
Oh, that's
That's
brutal.
crazy.
Why don't
We've been
thank
getting
you.
regular 90, 95, 94, 95, 96 days regularly every day. You know,
Yeah.
and then it'll come in and rain. It'll drop it to 75, just like that.
Wade asked me, why don't, hey, finally, no good? No good. Oh, that's, yeah, that's the one with the little narrow middle, right?
Yeah.
The
I
Vixen
mean,
want to be,
why,
that's
William? Why?
Yeah.
That is like
I don't
the
get
worst thing on the planet. You know what?
Honestly.
This is like putting like you know, you got a really wide foot for a roller skate and doing single inline blades. That's what you're doing.
Listen, I mean, it's like,
In mounts,
what
yeah.
the hell?
Size matters.
It's like, are you a D or a V?
There you go. There it is, right there.
I'm telling you, man.
What's the purpose?
Hey, it's the start of the Labor Day
The
weekend.
only
Let's
reason
have fun.
I could think of this is because, you know, it's a great starter scope. It is a really good starter scope, and a lot of starter scope EQ mounts are Vixen saddles.
Yep, that is true. That is true.
Only reason.
But there's no then if you know what, I'm gonna quote Robin Williams right now. He's sitting there, and I think it was either The Fisher King or Good Will Hunting. I forget what it was, but he's just sitting there. You know,
Both great movies.
He was talking to somebody about smoking, and you know, smoking. You know, like you're either a smoker or you're not. Choose what you are and be that. If you're a vixen, be a vixen. If you're a Los Mandi, be a Los Mandi. Don't go halfway and just do that little, make that wide dunk.
It's like I can't make up my mind of who I want to be when I grow up. Am I gonna be a big boy D or a little boy V?
Yeah, Dave, we understand there's a purpose to it, but it just seems kind of silly, Dave. Dave said the purpose of that is to secure your rings with more screw to control the rotation. But yeah, you can put more screws, but it's still on a little, you know, Vixen kind of dovetail. So
yeah,
that's what you should be doing now that you got a decent one. But yeah, I'm even you know, the only thing that I don't have Los Mandi stuff is when I put the stuff on the Exos mount, because that's only Vixen, but I only use that for like the Red Cat or a DSLR type thing. Nothing bigger than a Red Cat or an 80. But
yeah.
Yes.
See, that's the problem. Is it? And Dan, you can attest to this. In this hobby, there's no universal standardization.
No.
Everybody does their own thing, and then it's up to us to be able to try to say, okay, how are we going to put this thing together?
Yeah, and that's why we were talking about it. I want to say it was last Friday. I was talking about dovetails and rings, and you know, basically, if you're don't try and mix and match these things, because Los Mandi holes do not match Prima Luce ring holes, and you know ADM does not match with William Optics, and the spacers for Stellar View aren't going to fit on your ADM dovetail. It's not going to work. You're either going to have to get a machinist to drill something, you know, to tap a die and make a new screw hole, or just do yourself a favor, save yourself a lot of frustration, and whatever manufacturer you got for those types of hardware, stick with the one manufacturer. If you're going to get rings and dovetail, get one manufacturer. You know, whatever it may be, whether it be ADM, Prima Luce, William Optics, whatever it is, just don't try and mix and match these things. You will want to totally like jump off a bridge.
Yeah,
you'll lose your hair,
or you'll turn gray.
Yeah,
you'll start.
I mean, it helps if you have a little bit of technical background and you have a drill press, you know, and a tap and die. You can do it yourself, but
but how many people have a drill
like
press in a garage? I mean, I know two people now. I know three and I know a lot of people, and not a lot of people have a drill press in their garage, you know. But you know, a tap and die set. Yeah, I got a tap and die set, you know, but that's for, you know, little dinky things.
Yeah.
You know, that's not, you know.
And the place to go is forget Home Depot, forget Lowe's. You go to Ace Hardware. Ace Hardware has got everything that you need. Metric, Imperial, you name it, they've got it. Forget about going anywhere else. Just go to Ace Hardware.
That is true. That is very true.
Good luck finding an Ace Hardware on Long Island.
Yeah, I tell you, I've got one here in town, but that is very true there, Pete, because you go to all of these big box stores and all they have is Imperial. They have very, very few metric, and forget about stainless. Forget about having stainless over there at a big box store. It's all it's all zinc coated, you know, it's all steel, but it's all zinc coated. So it's gonna rust again.
Yep. Eventually.
Yep.
Yeah, but
good to be back.
What's
good
that?
To be back. I apologize. It was just I needed a couple of weeks to just kind of recuperate and just catch my thoughts. I was up at Lake Tahoe last weekend. Had to do an assembly up in Lake Tahoe. Beautiful, beautiful up there. Gorgeous weather, 86 to 87 degrees, nice and clear skies. But we finally got that all taken care of. But good to see everybody back. Everybody's doing well. Look at Scott, smiling, Eric, and Dan.
Oh yeah, I'm just waiting for. I'm waiting 10 more minutes for nautical dusk to happen, and then my telescope's going to start slewing. So hopefully that works.
Well, we got a shout out here to McMaster Car, and I definitely do like McMaster Car. When you need to get those knurled knobs, you got to go to McMaster Car because even Ace Hardware doesn't have those. But I mean, you know, anytime you do like the Los Mandy DVA clamps, they only give you those small little kind of, I don't know what the hell you call those. I just take those out.
The thumb screws, man. Then I
the little M6s.
It's hard to get those big knurled aluminum knobs, man. They come in handy at night when you can't see. You can just grab them and just loosen them up.
Yep, absolutely. But before we go too crazy, we do have to do the sponsor shout outs. So before we get too far onto the topic here, so let's do that real quick. First of all, let me say congratulations to the winners last week of the picture of the month. Was Wade Prunty's eagle, if I remember right.
Can we see what it looks like, Dan?
Sure. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll pull it up. Let's see. It's on. I was able, you know, I was on vacation, so I was able to update the website and everything. So everything is updated. And picture of the week. And there we go. And I'll just do all. And there we go. And that's the picture of the month. And can you now you guys can see it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, that's nice.
So that was Wade Prunty's picture of the month. So congratulations to Wade. And we got some good pictures this week that we gotta crown another picture of the week. This was one, but from I'm not even going to pronounce this. I'm not even going to try. So Galanopolis, I'm not sure. SH201, SH2101 with a Rasa. And then we got The Iris by Emily. And then we got Heart and Soul. Carol Santulis. And now for the picture of the month for August, we only have two because Mark was the third, I think, and he already has one. So we only have two. So we got George Lutch's Bubble and MX Quattro's Crescent Nebula and the surrounding area. That's for the picture of the month for July, and that for August. And that voting is now open as of yesterday. So you can go and do that. Let's see. So this was the picture of the week winner here that Mark had, the lobster claw.
Nice.
That got messed up. I got to change the settings on that. I also changed some stuff with the rules on here. So we're gonna do a surprise for the member with the most picks of the week. So we're gonna have the picture of the year, which is voted out of the 12 or whatever that we have, each picture of the month. And then I want to do a special honorable mention, I guess, for the person with the most pictures of the week. And we got some members with 3 and 4 pictures of the week. So I went through the whole thing, and it's pretty cool. So I want to do something like that. So that's something that we're gonna do. So all right. So sponsors. There we go. Bam. Okay. So sponsors and quick play. Let's go. There we go. Okay. So again, we can't do all this stuff with that and get all these giveaways without these sponsors. So we have to say something about them because they give us all the stuff to give you guys. Woodland Hills and Telescopes, thank you so much for being a main sequence level sponsor. They give us, we give away gift certificates every month for them, and hopefully a semi-fabulous prize at the end of the year. Red Giant level, Prima Luce, Camera Concepts, and Optolong. We just gave away an 2-inch L enhanced last week. The next one, I believe, is the L Extreme that's going away. That's at the end of this month. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're not involved in any of these giveaways, get on them. Go on the webpage all the way down the bottom. You can sign up for whatever giveaways you want. Supergiant level, tonight we're giving away a class for Masters of Pixinsight. So that will be, and they're getting ready starting not this Tuesday, the 13th, I believe, the second Tuesday of the month. Their Pixinsight for newbies start up again. So if you want to get in on the ground level, go check it out. There are packages and everything. You get all of the Pixinsight for newbies workshops for a low price, and just check it out at mastersofpixinsight.com. We also give away yearly subscriptions to IP for AP, which is a great resource of tutorials and understandings of not only Pixinsight, but for Photoshop as well. So that's always a good tool to have. So that's they gave us a whole bunch of classes. That's why they're at the Supergiant level. So if you want to be a member sponsor, we can't do this without all the member sponsors and do all these giveaways and shirts and perks, all that kind of stuff. We have now 5 different levels of sponsorship. The highest being the Quasar member. We have 1 Quasar member, followed by 4 Black Hole members, followed by a whole ton of Red Giant members. And it keeps on growing. Main Sequence members, White Dwarf members, and Protostar members. So if you want to become a member sponsor, join us on Patreon, and you'll also be eligible to see all my wonderful music videos that I've been putting out there, which are pretty bad, but they're funny. Coming up very soon, in 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to have Nico Carver on. And it's no longer tentative. It's going to be it's going to be happening. That is going to be really, really cool. I have never met Nico, and it's going to be a great time having him on the show on September 16th. And then, of course, I put dates on for Astropalooza. Either November 12th or December 10th is going to be the date for Astropalooza. And Josh Kovacs, an AstroWorld member, is going to be doing a presentation on data management and how to manage your files. So that's going to be, I'm going to be super interested in doing that. And again, if anybody else wants to make a presentation, please hit me up at dan@astroworldweb.com and or hit me up on the Discord server, which brings us to our last slide, on all of our other social media platforms: YouTube, Discord, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So thank you everybody for that. And let's see, can I go back to the 4 up here? There we go. and we are back, and we're live again. So that's the spiel for tonight. So tonight brings us to another edition of Back to Basics, right? Q&A, all that kind of stuff. Eric, I don't know if you had time to set up anything, or Scott. I know Peter's going to be doing his next week on RA and Deck. But do you guys have anything that you guys want to talk about real quick? Or I got one thing set up for a different type of mounts, but other than that, I have nothing else. So
one thing that I have been experimenting with now with my new 2600 has been gain and exposure time, and trying to, because right now my mount at about 300 seconds, it will start to elongate my stars. So but at 3 minutes or 180 seconds, it doesn't yet. So there's probably something up right now, either with seeing conditions, my RA, one of the worm gears on the mount, or something that is causing that elongation. But it also got me thinking back to when I first got started, and I was using my laptop, and I was using SharpCap and the smart histogram and the sensor analysis, which is one thing I'm going to do with the 2600 here. I am going to do all that. So I do it for every one of my new cameras. And this got me thinking about Dr. Robin Glover and his lecture that he had on gain and short exposures, and why you don't really necessarily need to do really long exposures. Now, it depends on just, how you feel about it. But personally, because of the mount, I've decided to go ahead and start experimenting with that. And so I decided to boost up my gain and shorten my exposure length. Now, there are some caveats to when you do that. When you increase your gain, you will reduce your read noise. Your read noise will decrease. However, when you are doing that, you are going to lose dynamic range. Your stops are going to shorten. You won't be able to get as much dynamic range as you would, as well as your full well depth is going to be less than what you would be expecting. Like if you look at, the 2600, its full well depth is 5,000. I'm sorry, not 5,000, but 50,000.
50,000, yeah.
Yeah, 50,000. However, when you begin to increase that gain, you start to sacrifice that full well depth. And for those that don't recall or are not sure about full well depth, that is the measurement of when as much light that hits your sensor, you only have so much as far as electrons, so many thousand electrons that hit those pixels before you begin to get oversaturated per pixel. And so you have to keep that in mind when you are doing your imaging, and you maybe grab one of the lights, maybe put it into Pixinsight, where you can take a quick measurement of maybe one of your brighter stars to see how it looks as far as being oversaturated, to know maybe you might want to shorten even a little bit more as far as your exposure time. But it also goes back to other, discussions that we've had about running as far as guiding and unguiding, and doing short exposures. And there's other advantages of doing short exposures. If you do longer exposures, you have a higher risk of, if there are issues with those longer exposures, you're going to be tossing out more of your data. if there ends up being, you know, tracking errors, a cloud, you know, clouds, or or whatever the reason is, you will end up, and if you're doing 5 or 10-minute exposures or even longer, and they have certain issues because of whatever reason, you're going to end up having to trash that. That's going to be wasted, you know, opportunity for that, you know, over that night. But if you do shorter exposures, you have much more, yes, but so because you have so much more, you can be able to toss more out and not have that concern as far as doing those longer exposures and risking, you know, ruining or trashing that night or several exposures of that night, 10-minute, 20-minute exposures, what have you, and putting them into the recycle bin. So I am working around and tinkering with that. I am looking at ZWO's website and looking at dynamic range and the full well depth. And again, I'll be doing a sensor analysis that'll give me a very good idea of the full well depth based off of the different gain settings, because it goes through different gains and gives you and tells you what you should expect your well depth to be based on that gain, right? So that is a very good tool. I believe you can do a sensor analysis just off of the basic version of SharpCap. However, you need SharpCap Pro in order to do what they call the smart histogram, which works with that to give you an estimate of how long you necessarily, based off of your sky quality, how long you really need to shoot per exposure, okay, per light. And that could be as little as just, you know,
couple
10
of seconds.
you know, few seconds, but you're doing hundreds of them. Yeah, so you're going to have to also take into account storage space, because you have, with the 2600, I'm close to, I think, just around 90 meg or so, maybe a little bit more. I have to take a quick look here as far as size of each fit spot.
Yeah.
Per sub.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to make sure that you have the storage space to accommodate all of those subframes. Exactly. Grab a flash drive. My flash drives, I have all with my ASI Air. I plug in. I have 256 gig flash drives. I slap in there, and I take all of my shots, all of my calibration frames, and then I put them on my computer and I store them and stuff like that. But also, you're going to have to make sure that you have enough storage to support all of those light frames at those high storage, capacities. But yeah, that's what I'm working on, and experimenting with right now that I have this new camera, and trying to really say, okay, do I need to take as long as I necessarily need to? Why don't I just if I boost up the gain and understand where it's not unity gain, but where there's probably a good happy medium in between that high and the unity, or maybe a little bit bump up, I won't have, I don't have to worry about those tracking errors and stuff like that, or those, atmospheric errors or whatever, so.
Yeah, I think to your point, Eric, that you really want to each camera has the graphs between the read noise and the dynamic range and where the drop off is. You really want to say, okay, you know what, depending on your system and your scope and your chip, you really want to see what you could get away with. You know what I mean? But you know what? It's going to be different for everybody. So don't use Eric's settings for your scope, because that's not going to work.
Hey guys, guys, we're also missing. Where's your site location? That has a lot to do with it as well. We have one. I mean, we got to look at all the mental extremities as well.
Yeah, there's so many different things, because the darker your skies are, you're going to expose longer. The darker your skies are, you're going to have slightly longer exposures. versus, so if you're at a Bordeaux 2, you're going to be shooting, for example, maybe 3, 2, maybe 5 minutes, where here in my Bordeaux 5 skies, I may only need to shoot for 3 minutes. So you have to take those, that stuff into account as well. So you're exactly right, Pete. You have to take a look at all these different conditions.
So this brings up another question. I was going to kind of maybe wait, but this really is a segue to lead into this, is that a lot of people reach out and they say, okay, I've got a monochrome camera, so I need to take my lights, my darks, my bias, my flat frames, maybe even my dark flats. So everybody says, do I need to take for each filter, do I need to take each of those individual frames? I'm going to leave that open to a discussion because I know the answer is, but I really would love to hear what everybody has to say to this.
Well,
So
the flats you got to take for every filter.
Time out. We'll start with broadband first, LRGB, and in the second part will be narrowband. So once again, we're talking flat frames, bias frames, dark frames, and flat frames, or say dark flats.
Okay.
So flats is no matter what, broadband or narrowband, it doesn't matter. You have to take for every filter. There's no doubt about it, because that dust mode on your luminance filter may not be or will not be on any other filter. You know what I mean? Right. So that's the first thing. So flats you have to. At least this is. Go ahead, Pete.
So flats for each filter. Okay, so we're agreement to that. Now, what about all the other ones? So we'll start with the broadband.
No,
all the other ones you're putting the cap on, so it doesn't matter what filter you're using.
Exactly.
Absolutely. See, that's it, Eric, right there.
Exactly.
I mean, it's confusing to a lot of people, because a lot of people will kind of think, wow, maybe I have to do that. But you're absolutely right. It's so important that we should address this, because a lot of people, and this is a beginning class tonight, so I agree with you, Eric, 100%.
Yeah, and you know what, and that could even go into the segue of, starting some sort of calibration file library where you could sit there and save even more time. Absolutely. By taking, this is what every 3 months, or if I start seeing a difference in my flat calibration, every 3 months I do my entire library over again, because the weather that swings in the Northeast and the north sections of the United States, even in the Southwest, where it gets 120, like Pete was talking about, that's going to be 120 degrees in the valley next week. When it gets down to 40 in the winter, these huge temperature swings from day to night is going to affect your dark current in your camera, and how hard that cooler is going to have to work. So if the cooler works harder, your chipset is going to get hotter eventually, because it needs to work more. The cooler will compensate, but you don't want to sit there and run that cooler at 100% for 8 hours.
So here's the question. So here's another thing. You're speaking of that. When you are in summer, or when you're in your summertime, or this time of year, what would probably make more sense to when you're doing your cooling? Would it be at a 0 degree, basic 0 degree, or go towards a negative degree for your camera? So for me, I would say, because it is so warm and that cooler and that fan is working more, I personally wouldn't go below 0.
Well, here's the thing. Most cameras, unfortunately, and Pete, hit me up if I'm wrong, but most cameras, unfortunately, the most I've seen is -40 under ambient. Yeah. So that's the lowest or the most efficient cooler in the let's say in the people that pay normal money for cameras is gonna reach prosumer. Exactly. Thank you. You can get other cameras that are you get other cameras that can, you spend $25,000 on a camera and it'll get down to -5 in 100-degree weather. But you're spending the money for it, and you're spending for the cooling system.
But are you putting your camera under unnecessary strain?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
Eric,
what I do, what I do is I find, like, I test my camera. Like, I just got the 268 this year, the QHY 268. New camera, new manufacturer for me. I've had one more QHY before this, but other than that, I've had ZWOs and SBIGs, and so it's a different cooling system. It's a different experience. And what I did was, now that the summer is just about past, believe it or not, the summer's gone. I was able to gauge my 268 at what temperature can I get it down to without exceeding. And this is just a random number for me, without exceeding a 60% cooling maximum efficiency.
See, the key once again is the loading factor, because once again, when it's very hot out and you put too much load on it at 90% load, that's going to be the weak point. Case in point, when ZWO first came out, that was always their weak point. We would always get cameras back from ZWO because people would push that load up to 90%. So as everybody says, I would recommend looking at, maybe don't push it past the 60 to 80% load factor. Once you get it above 80% for any length of time, you're going to definitely cause some serious problems long term with the cameras. Mind you, the build quality now is getting better. Case in point, with QHY now, you can really push those up to 80% for a much longer period of time. But typically, most people will say like -10. However, if you're at 100 degrees in Phoenix or 110 degrees in Phoenix, and that's at 9% load, kick that back down to at least 65 to 70%.
Yep. And the whole thing, what just to finish my story, is I try and find the hottest day or night rather that I could work it no more than 60, 70% load on it. And then I use that temperature throughout the year.
Yep.
So I know that temperature for me is -5 Celsius. So in the hottest, in the 80 to 90 degree weather in New York, I could get my camera at 60% load to -5. Not a problem. And obviously the cooler months, it's going to be a lot less of a load. But I want to find a standard number for my rig. So when I take my darks and I take my flats and I take my calibration frames, that I could use them across the entire year, as long as I don't see it, because they're going to be the same temperature. You know what I mean?
Now let me ask this: in winter, when you got the dead of winter, are you going to run your cooler?
It's probably going to be at like 2%, but it'll be running. I want that. The reason that you run the cooler in the wintertime isn't because that it's not cold enough. It's because of the stabilization of the temperature. You know what I mean? I'm not going to leave it up to, Mother Nature to make sure that my camera is at -5 every time I shoot. I want that at -5. So even if it's running at 2% efficiency, it's going to run because I want that -5. You know what I mean? It's all because it all comes down to the darks. Now, some people may say that the electronic, the thermal noise is such at a low point now in CMOS cameras that some people are out there saying, darks, who needs them? We don't have amp glow. We don't have read noise.
Bring that up.
There is a camp out there that says no darks. However, it doesn't get rid of the issue with dark and cold pixels. That's going to be the next big thing. So until many CMOS chips come with an error of dead pixels. I think it's up to about Pete, you probably know the number, 6-7% is the allowable pixel defect, something like that. Yeah.
See, this brings up another point too, because you've got the different grades of sensors. There's a grade 1 and grade 2. Why do you want to spend the money for a grade 1? Because eventually grade 1 is going to degrade into a grade 2 sensor. So whatever that is, that's just a selling point. Don't worry about a grade 1 sensor. Just get a grade 2 sensor, because within a year's time, that sensor is already going to be a grade 2. But as you said, that's the key about dark frames is that any time that you generate heat, you're going to have those little pinholes. And if you don't take dark frames, you're going to have those little pinholes of darks within your image. Yep. And you don't see it on the macro scale, but when you start to pixel peak, you'll start to see those little pinholes. And let's face it, we all pixel peak.
Exactly. And see, this is the thing that I don't get is why not just go ahead and take darks? Because for the most part, you're taking these darks when you're not imaging, and you can have a dark library for a quarter of the year, and you use that for the quarter of the year, and then on another rainy day or night or whatever where you can't image, go ahead and take another set of the same dark frames and be done. It's not going to hurt. You know, what's it going to hurt?
You know, Eric, it brings up another good point too. When you're doing dark frames, right? What's the best thing that you can do? Just get your binoculars and start to just visually scan and take a look at the beauty of the Milky Way or whatever's above you, because man, it's a gorgeous sight to see. Because once again, you're going to start to kind of increase your knowledge about to say, hey, look it, I know exactly now what constellations here, what I can star hop to. So as I said, when you're taking dark frames, definitely start looking at the skies and getting yourself familiar with it.
Yep, absolutely. But that's a good conversation. There's a lot of good comments in the chat regarding.
Hogarth, he's saying you can stack dead pixels without darks, though.
I don't understand the statement.
And you can get rid of dead pixels.
Well, if you have enough frames, it could reject the pixel. And somebody also threw a pixel math quote in there. You could do that as well. You could fix pixels that way. And I'm going to throw Scott in there since Scott.
That's post processing.
It's all post.
So is that a Band-Aid fix, or do you just want to get it taken care of initially in the raw data? I like to do raw data.
I agree.
Guess what? I don't worry about post processing.
I agree. And Scott said, if he gets off the phone for a second, man, Jesus, stop playing on the phone. But Scott always says that the more you can fix in camera and make sure that the less time you're going to spend fixing what doesn't need to be fixed.
Garbage in, garbage out, right? If you can eliminate it just at the start rather than having to fix it up in post-processing. I always thought post-processing is kind of like where you can kind of clean up so much, but you only put so much lipstick on a pig, right?
Yeah.
If you've got garbage in, garbage out.
Oh, I got to chill. Sorry. Somebody walking on my grave or something.
Why, Johnny Ringo?
I'm your huckleberry.
But just walked all over your grave.
What a great movie. That was a great movie. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm working on and trying to figure out is that get to that point where how long is necessarily necessary, as far as sub exposures. So I'm going to throw things, I'm going to grab the laptop, get, Sharp Cap out and, blow the dust off of Sharp Cap and, do that and do the sensor analysis and the test and all of that good stuff. And we are going to find out and see what happens.
Yep.
So,
I mean, I remember when we did that with my rig, I guess about a year ago, it must have been. At least where we did the sensor analysis with my S-Big camera. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes you get good information out of that, but the information that we got out of that night, I took it with a grain of salt and I chucked it in the garbage because I knew better because of my skies. And there was literally telling me that for a one shot color, no, for a LRGB filter set. For a RGB, I had to shoot something like 8-second exposure times, and the luminance like 3. And I mean, that's what the sensor analysis, and that may be correct based on that, but I know that I could get away with a lot more than that in my skies, even though it's borderline. Oh, thank you, baby.
Yeah.
It's not on.
And Dan, think about it. Let's look at
you're the
it's
best.
the target. Targets basically come in. Are they high surface brightness? Are they low surface brightness?
You know what? I think we were just doing Starfield and the sensor analysis. You got to put your flat panel on there in order to work that sensor analysis. So it's based on full illumination.
Yes, it is.
So it's really, to your point, Pete, yes, you're going to be shooting different surface brightness, different, brightness overall. And that's going to definitely change what subs length that you're going to be able to run. But when this thing is run, and I'm not trying to bash this because it's a really good tool to kind of see where you're at, but it just didn't work very well for me. And, I probably won't.
The one thing that I like about the sensor analysis, it's because I think you're more referring to the smart histogram when it's telling you how long you can expose.
Oh, maybe I'm mixing up the two. Okay.
Yeah. The sensor analysis is telling me, okay, giving me that information on my full well depth based off of the different gains that it runs through. It runs through like a dozen different gain settings, maybe a bit more than a dozen. And that will give you that gives you a good indicator. So when you look at your manufacturer's website to compare how close, your camera, because every camera, even though they have the same brand, the same model name, they are somewhat unique. They all have their different quirks. Yep. So that's why you do this, because one 6200 mono may not be the same as another person's, 2600 mono when it comes to the analysis and everything. Absolutely. So that's good information, to have based off of your own equipment, because you want to be able to know how to work your equipment. That's one of the big things that we talk about, is learning your equipment, learning to use what you have.
And you know what, Eric? That's experience. You just got to get familiar with what you've got. And the only way to do it is you got to get out there, and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn by your mistakes. You're going to grow by your successes. And I mean, you can have all the analysis in the world you want, but as somebody had said, you're right. How do you beat an 1800 second HA? I mean, case in point, we all love to look at that intergalactic flux nebula, right? I mean, And once you get to that point, you got to have a little bit of experience. So you got to make mistakes to learn not what to do, but what to do to get to that point. So you're right. In this hobby, you're going to make mistakes. Just have and you said it all the time, Eric. Have a notepad. Write down what works good for you, and always make reference back to those notes. Case in point, this is my notepad here that I've had since 2017. And I always make reference going back to the same celestial targets, say, okay, what didn't work, what worked, and then what I'm going to try new now. And so you can't beat having that experience.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things I like doing when I'm going back to some of my favorite targets. Every year or every couple years, I'll go back to those targets, and I can refer, if I made notes initially on that target, I can refer to that just like you would, Pete, on that target, to take a look and say what I did then and maybe take some learnings that experience that you gained over the past year or two, and make some modifications. Take that knowledge that you have now and apply that, and then see where you end up, and see where your images turn out. So yeah, you definitely. But it's also, I would absolutely love to do to get IFN data, but to your point, it takes a long time. That is some long exposure time. But so if you're gonna do that, you got, again, know your equipment, know what kind of, especially that mount that you've got, how well it tracks, everything, find out all of its quirks, and lock them down, and know what you got to do to get that 1800 second, or that 10-minute exposure. You got to know that. You got to do all this types of stuff.
Yeah, dude, I am so, like, I am okay with my 5-minute exposures. I'm all right with that. I'm okay. I don't need it. I would love to do an 1800 second exposure. Don't get me wrong, but I'm at the limit. You got to remember that I'm at the limits of my equipment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I have some decent equipment. I got an EQ8R. I got a permanent pier in the backyard. So I have things that do help me. But I was able to do the most I was able to do on my EQ6R. I did a 40. I gotta find it. I know it's somewhere in my, because that's why I'm so looking forward to having Josh Kovacs do the data management, because I can't even find this picture. I did a 40-minute 1-sub picture of the Iris Nebula from a Bortle 4 and maybe Bortle 5. And I have it. I did it. I just wanted to see if I could do it. I did a 10. It looked good. I did a 20. It looked good. I did a 30. It looked good. And then I did a 40, and I just started seeing a little bit of trail. Yeah, a little bit of elongation. So I did 30, and I pixel peeped, and it was fine. 40, I started seeing it, but it still looked good at 40. But I'll never do that again. I won't do that again. Because you think of it, 40 minutes on Long Island. What are the odds that a 747 jet is going to be flying right the hell through the sub? And there goes 40 minutes. Minutes. It's not worth it for me. I live in 3 airport runway patterns. I got JFK, MacArthur, and LaGuardia, and I'm in the middle. So I'm okay with 2, 3, and 5. That I'm okay with.
Hey, Dan, do you have that photograph that I sent you by email with that guy in Namibia or whatever it is?
Oh yeah, the what was it? The 270-degree.
Oh yeah, you got to post that up so everybody can see it. This was on cloudy nights. Eric, Scott, where do you see this image? This image is probably the most panoramic. It's the best panoramic image I've ever seen. And
I saw that. We had that on the show a while back.
No. This is a different one.
This is a different one. Where do you see this thing? If Dan can post it, where do you take a look at this? This thing is just going to blow your socks off.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my Outlook to pop up. I'm running the Eagle. I'm running Pixinsight and the show all at the same time. So it's
Well, as I said, this goes back to Eric's question. If you guys love a challenge, this hobby is the challenge, man. It's going to test your patience. It's gonna. You're gonna get frustrated, but you're gonna only you can appreciate that image that you finally got, because only you know how much time it took to put into it.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, let me. I'm going to show you something real quick. This is something that I've been working on for this is data from 2021. So I'm going to show you this real quick. There you go.
Oh, I like the green.
Yeah.
I like the green.
How you like that?
I like that, Dan. Nice round tight stars. Look at that. I would say, Dan, You might want to crop it in just a little bit because you got too much on the outside. Just kind of crop it a little bit so your eyes really get in there.
Yeah, I could do that, but then I also did this to it. So let me see if I and
There you go.
So for those of you that don't get this joke, this is object SH2112. So it's 2112. It's a homage to Rush, and that's the 2112 dude. So that's the Starman from 2012. So I threw that on Twitter, and it's already been like retweeted like 35 times. So you know, everybody knows I like to make fun of my pictures. I got Jar Jar Binks in one. I got this one. I like to, you know, add a little comedy to my pictures sometimes. But I made a promise to myself for the next at least 5 months or 4 months of this year that I'm gonna start posting more of my pictures. You know, just because I just don't do it. I think it's just something I need to get over myself. You know, because I never think my pictures are good enough to kind of throw up there, because I know all these people that, you know, that are on there, that, you know, and everyone's a critic. I mean, you know, that's okay. I'm all right with that. I really don't care about that. But it's just like something like, it's kind of like I'm like that closeted artist where you just sit there and then I'm gonna die, and you know, you're gonna have all this priceless art in the closet somewhere that no one's ever seen. You know, so or it's just pieces of garbage that people just want to burn, but you know, one or the other.
Yep.
But I'm going to start doing it. So once a month, I have a lot of data, as we all do. Once a month, I'm going to throw out a new picture on the social media, and we'll just pick one. So that's this one for this month. I like the green. A lot of people don't like the green. You know,
I do.
Everyone says, a lot of people say green. There's no green in space. There shouldn't be any green. But I just like the way.
Maybe there is.
What? Maybe there is.
There is.
I don't know. But you know what? I like the way things transition in narrowband from the blues to the greens to the yellows to the golds, and I like how that transition is, and I've always liked that. And I'll continue to use the palette in that fashion until I get annoyed with it. And again, something that we talk about on the show constantly. We talk about this all the time. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about your pictures. It doesn't matter. You are the artist. Make sure you do it that you like it. And that's really all that matters. That's really is this as good as I can? Don't stop and don't try. Don't be complacent. You know, always try and get better. But if it's good enough for you, then it's good enough for everybody else. So don't worry about what anybody else says.
So did you find that photo?
Yeah. I'm waiting for an Outlook to pop up, and of course, you know, Microsoft just hates me. So so right now I'm looking at my task manager right now, and I'm scrolling down, and it says that
Here, I'll see if I can send it to you
Microsoft
again, Dan.
Outlook is running 17 times. So let me just end that task and redo it again. And there we go. Outlook is coming up. There you go.
You know, as it relates to your point about you know, the opinions of others,
Sure.
it's really important. It's really important to get constructive criticism from a peer review.
Sure, absolutely.
You know, people that are professionals in the realm. That there's nothing wrong with that. That the peer review like that is good. You know, but if you just take your pictures and put them up on the bathroom stall of the internet called Facebook and say, hey, what do you think? You know, you're just asking to get your butt ripped. You know, you're going to get some people say, oh, it's beautiful. You're going to get other people, they're just going to take you apart. So you got to be careful. If you're looking for constructive criticism, make sure that your critics are worth their salt.
True. Absolutely.
gonna show you guys something here real quick, man.
Yep.
And then I want you to go to a 3 so I can mount this this scope. But have you guys?
Nice to see that I'm not the only one eating on the show.
For once.
All right.
Hey, you know what though? See, Eric has an excuse though. Eric just got home from work. You just have dinner and grab the peanut butter and whatever and just start munging on chips and stuff on the show. I mean, there's a little bit of a difference just coming home from work and rushing to get his butt on the show on time, as opposed to I'm just hungry, so I'm gonna eat my cheese and slobber it all over my shirt.
Oh, here we go.
Oh!
Okay.
All right.
Love you, brother.
I was, you know what? I was watching with the Galactic Hunter.
Hunter, yep.
Yeah. Antoine. And I noticed when he was doing his unboxing of his AM5, and then he put his travel scope on and everything. But I had noticed something that I just never thought of, and maybe this is something that others may want to think about. Have you ever, when you're balancing, you're trying to get everything right, and if you have certain things like your EAF, and it's normal, what you would think would be the normal horizontal position, but when you're balancing, things tend to lean, especially on that deck, either on your declination or on your OA, and get out of whack when you're doing that, because you got that extra weight. So this is something that I had noticed, and I'm going to give this a shot today because I never really thought of this, was to simply do this. Tilt it.
Yep.
You tilt it up, because then that way you'll get that, you don't have that weight pressing towards
the sides,
east or west, or to the sides. You've got it going down your center. So I was like, you know what? Why didn't I think of that before? So you learn something new every day. And so I'm going to give it a shot. And hopefully, when I'm balancing, it's going to be much better.
And, that's something that we were talking about last week, I think, with balancing. And how people always forget that Z-axis balancing, where it's the right or the left side as opposed to the deck or the RA. So that's one way definitely to do it, to tilt that entire image train and turn it so your accessories are pointed in a different direction to even out that weighting. Now,
even out the weight.
Unfortunately, when you're moving an RAN deck, that's going to stay the same. So you're going to have some issues either way, but that will help alleviate a lot of it when you're like that, when you're weighted in all three axes.
So I'm going to give this a shot.
Well, I'm just curious, what part of that image train? Because I can only see, that much of it.
Right.
What part of that is in question?
Well, the focuser is pointed straight up.
The focuser is pointing straight up
now.
Yeah.
Now it is. It used to be just horizontal because the extra weight of the focuser. Point the
camera. Point the camera at the camera. Yeah, there you go.
Now the other way.
Now turn it the other way.
There you go. That way.
Oh, okay. I can see what you're doing now. Bring him full screen, Daniel. I'm just curious to see exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's better. Oh, I see what you're doing now.
So I'm tilting it. So I can, hopefully that'll balance things out, because I'm not, that my left side isn't weighed down.
Yeah.
like it used to be. So
Well,
I'm gonna
that
give it a
makes
shot.
perfect sense. You know,
Yeah, you know,
What
because
about your what about the filter wheel? The heavy part of the filter wheel. You turn that down so it's pointing down, or
well,
can you not move
it looks like to me
Yeah, I
that
will.
he's got the left side of the filter wheel going left and the
I do right
OAG going on the other side. So
well, I do right now because it's sitting here, and if I turn it flat, the way I
it'll
normally
hit the
would,
table.
it would hit the table.
Gotcha.
So I'll just rotate it.
Gotcha.
So that's all.
Well, Pete was able to send me the picture he was talking about. So let's take a look at that real quick because this thing is pretty cool. So
Here, let me take a look at this. Oh wow,
that is amazing.
how cool is that?
That goes to
the
show you
image.
that dark skies.
Deep in the heart of the
It's from Nambia.
The image itself is phenomenal. But now, as a photographer, the only thing that I would like to see him done better would be to do just a little tiny bit of light painting on the human subject.
Okay.
Yep.
But the image of the galaxy, or the image of the Milky Way is incredible. But to have that focal point of the observer looking up, or possibly even, you know, just a little bit of light painting on that subject, that would make it just absolutely pop. But it's a fabulous picture.
I mean, it's amazing is that I've seen some images, but this is the most beautiful image I've seen of the arc. I mean, the Milky Way arc. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah, that part of it, Peter, you're absolutely right. It's stunning.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's gorgeous. I mean, you can see Rho very easily. You can make out M8. I think you can even make out M8 up there in the top left. Right, right over there. And that a little bit lower, and I think that's M8 over there.
Here's Rho over here.
Rho right there. So
well, the Dark River, see, the Dark River flows towards M8, so it's that bright target in the rift. You see that bright target in the rift? Move the mouse up right there. There it is. That's M8 right there, the lagoon.
That's M8.
So then over here is the Trifid somewhere.
Yep.
And then on the far right on the horizon, is that the North American on the far right on the horizon?
Over here?
Yeah, it looks like the North American,
Might be.
doesn't it?
Maybe,
Might be, but that's an awesome picture.
Remember, he's in the southern hemisphere, right? So everything's going to be reversed.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to be much lower. That's amazing.
That's a pretty awesome picture.
Well, if you guys want to go to a 3, I'm going to go get this guy acclimated. I've been checking around with this guy.
All right, well, since that's...
Hey, you take advantage of the dark nights, guys. You got dark nights, take them.
I'm already outside imaging, so if you want to take a look, I'm actually doing... actually, I'll bring... I don't want to hear it. And I'm doing... Here you go. This is actually only seven images. I'll show you real quick.
Oh, nice, Dan.
So that's only 7 images in the stack. I just started this about a half an hour ago.
You going to get the soap bubble in there too, or it's not quite the large enough field of view?
It's not quite. I don't think it's large enough. I don't think.
Oh yeah.
But I wanted to get this bright star down here, and I wanted to kind of get this, and then this kind of trail of.
Yep.
That I didn't want to have. I like the crescent there. I just didn't want it to be the main focus, but I wanted it. I wanted to kind of compose it a little differently. So
you got good tracking. Look at your tracking, man. I mean, my God, you're just perfect.
Yeah, you know what, and you know what the funny thing is? You know what I stopped doing? I stopped polar aligning every night. I stopped polar aligning every night, and you know what? I haven't polar aligned in 2 months.
And it's working good for you.
You're sitting on a pier.
Yeah, well, but you know what? My whole reasoning behind it was this: I take my scope off the mount every night. I take it off. I leave the mount out there, but I take the scope and the eagle, and I bring it inside when I'm done.
But that's the 8R, right?
It doesn't matter. In my head, which is completely out there, I think that
Well,
if
no
I
argument
put this
there.
on there and take it off, shut up, jerk. I take it off and I put it on. I think it's going to move the slightest millimeter or whatever off to where it originally was.
I
And
hear you.
that's in my head. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And now it's working fine. So
Has it moved?
What, the mount?
Yeah.
The only way it would move is from the taking of the scope off and on the mount itself.
Yeah. But I mean,
So,
you said you haven't polar aligned in 2 months, right?
right.
Have you checked it to see if it's moved?
No, because my tracking is fine. My deck and my RA is fine. I'm not even going to bother at this point. You know what I mean? Why fix it if it ain't broke? And
right, exactly.
You know,
Beautiful.
I mean, but this is that's just HA. That's HA shots that I'm doing right now. So it's going to be pretty cool. The only thing that's going to suck is that I still don't have the flattener for this scope yet. I'm still waiting on it. So I may have to kind of crunch in a little bit. Or I'm going to have to get really, really creative with my morphological transformation. And, you know, one or the other. But
you got an ETA on the flattener?
They said the middle of this month. And now I spoke to, I think it was George or Harvey over at AP. And now they said check in a couple of weeks. So that means the 3rd week in September. So I'm hoping to have it by October sometime. Just got to say. So let's see what do we got. Let's see what we got going in the chat, because I know we got a lot of people. We got 30-something
asking
people
about flattener or flattener reducer.
No, I don't want no stinking reducers.
Reducer, yeah, I know you don't.
Why am I spending this mad money for focal length if I'm just going to give it back? And I'm just going to give it back. Is it really that much more important for me to run f5.3 from f7 and lose a red cat, basically 200 millimeters to get pictures a little bit faster? It's not going to matter. My skies suck. It's not going to matter. I'm going to have to take 150,000 2-minute photos. I mean, it's not going to matter. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't want to give up the focal length. I'm not doing it. I'm only at, I think it's 819 on the AP.
Right.
And it's just a straight flattener for the AP EDF.
I mean, if you were running a huge Schmidt, it'd be different, but you're not.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I don't want to be shooting no F10. That'll take me forever. But you know, I mean,
but I mean, even with my flattener, I'm still running it. You know, not flattener, my reducer. I'm still running it at
7.
You know, F7.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
but I'm
what
getting
running,
it. You know, 27-37. You know, 2700 millimeter. I mean, it's
on the AP
ridiculous.
scope is 6.3 at 819. So I'll take 6.3 at 819. Not a problem with those optics. Forget it. It's a great scope. Great scope. Pete talked me into it. So
it's your retirement scope there, Dan.
It is. It is until you get the phone call, Pete. It's time for a plane wave setup, Pete. It's time.
Oh no. Trust me. Then you need to get a permanent observatory. So
yeah, absolutely. That's what will happen. So
absolutely.
Right. As a matter of fact, Dave Barnett, right there in the chat, right there, he is coming over and building my observatory. He doesn't know it yet, but he's coming over and he's building my observatory in Levittown. But and I'm gonna fly him down to North Carolina to build my observatory down there too, because I just suck at it. So I'm not good mechanic. I'm a mechanical idiot. So Dave's laughing. For those of you guys that don't know Dave Barnett, he's a an astrophotographer, and he basically runs the Avalon astronomical part of the Avalon Nature Preserve down there, and runs mega rigs, solar scopes, big refractors, crazy stuff. That they do some great stuff down there. So if you ever check it out, look it up. If you're on Long Island, check it out. It's the Avalon Nature Preserve, and they have a whole bunch. And Dave, I'm waiting to hear when's the next LEAP session. I think COVID's gone. For those of you that don't know what LEAPS is on Long Island, LEAPS is the Long Island Astrophotography Symposium, if I remember right. And
Nice.
we did it they did it in 2018 and 19, or 17 and 18. They didn't do 19, I don't think, but maybe it was 18, 19. I don't remember. It was 2 years in a row, and then COVID came and it just put everything to a standstill. So I'm hoping that they usually do it in the first quarter, I think, of the year. So I'm hoping that this year, 2023, will be the return of LEAPS. It was 17 and 18. Thank you, Dave. But man, it was 5 years ago. Can you believe it was 5 years ago, Dave? Jeez.
That's ridiculous.
We lost 3 years to COVID. It makes no sense. Most people lose 3 years to the bottle, let alone a disease. But yeah. So I have a little thing regarding mounts that we can kind of show that I was planning on doing. Let me see if I can get that up. And we want to talk to a little bit about and again, for those of you that are the seasoned people out there, this is going to be towards the newbies and different types of mounts and what they could do as far as astrophotography is concerned and all of that. So let me see if I can get this up. And let me minimize that. And then we can do that. So, choosing a mount for astrophotography, and this is something that I've done before, and it's a lot of fun. But there's a lot of things that we kind of want to deal with as far as astrophotographers are concerned. So. The first thing you want to do, and I'm going to see if I'm going to get ahead on this because I don't like clicking the button. But you want to have the right tool for the right job. Okay, there are different types of mounts, and if you want to see a video about it, if you go on AstroWorld TV, there's a video by me and Charlie about different types of mounts. We really kind of do a deep dive into it. It's about 30 minutes. It's a lot of fun. But there's different types of mounts. The first one, a lot of people, and this is the most popular beginner's scope, the top left, which is the next star line, for people that are just starting with the hobby, usually have the question of saying, I want to look at things, but I want to have the capability of doing some astrophotography as well. And a lot of people get pointed to the SE because of it's a very, very suitable scope to do a lot of things. It's not the best for astrophotography. Alt-Az mounts normally aren't. Although this can be really good for planetary. It's got a really long focal length, but that's just the scope. You could take that scope and put it on what you see on the bottom, the EQ6R Pro, and you could start doing some long-term exposure photography with that scope. But the Alt-Az scopes, without what's called a wedge, where you could tilt the scope to your latitude, that's the one thing that the Alt-Az mounts don't do well, because you're going to sit there and you kind of, I call it going up the ladder. It kind of moves in both axes, but it kind of goes up, right, up, right, up, right. Then it goes down the ladder and it goes right, down, right, down, right, down. it kind of does those types of, because it only can move up, down, left, and right, unless if you are on a wedge where you can start moving it in that arc. Then you have single axis trackers, just like this. This is a little bit of an older model. They have recently come out with the Star Adventurer GTI, which does track in 2 axes. But this is really good for smaller scopes, or DSLRs when you use a ball head, where it could you could turn the scope, but you could still track in right ascension. So you're able to do that. And then you got your standard equatorial mount that tracks in both right ascension and declination. And although it's the same type of mount, but works a different way, the harmonic mounts, which are pretty brand new on the scene for the most part, but it's very light, and can handle more of a payload than what its weight actually is. So a couple of specs on the mount you want to look at. So the first thing is going to be the weight capacity, your payload. Number one, make sure that you know if this payload capacity number is with or without the counterweights. Some say with counterweights, some say without counterweights, and people can get very confused on what the actual payload might be. Contact your manufacturer that you're looking at in order to find out how much, payload rig weight that you could put on there, capable, that it's capable of doing. We spoke about tracking in 1 axis or 2 axis, and periodic error. So periodic error, a lot of people that are going into these harmonic mounts get kind of hung up sometimes on periodic error, because harmonic mounts have an inherently high periodic error. Okay. Now, what periodic error is, it is a predictable error in the mount due to either, the teeth aren't meshing the right way, or the gearing isn't right. Everything, nothing is exactly the same to the 10th of a millimeter. So there's always going to be the same error at the same point in the worm gear, so you can predict it. And if you can predict it, you could correct for it in some mounts. So that makes that periodic error kind of not go away, but you could correct for it, especially in the harmonic mounts, especially if you're guiding. So don't get too hung up on periodic error when you're dealing with that, because the harmonic mounts have been doing, the ones that I've seen, the rainbow mounts and the AM5. Looking forward to seeing the Ioptrons and the Pegasus ones. But we'll see how they kind of go as time goes on. So light payload mounts like this one up here. This is the iExos 100. This is really good for about 11 pounds, 12 pounds. A Red Cat, DSLR, that kind of stuff. But it only has a Vixen, the smaller dovetail saddle plate. So you can't put any Los Mandis on there. Very good for a portable kind of thing, and it does track in 2 axes. Medium, which is, I call it, Pete calls it the prosumer. This is when you start getting a little serious. The EQ6R, good for about 40 pound. This one is actually 44 pound capacity, but you'd never really always want to go at capacity. 2/3 is probably the most I would go. Half even better, but certain mounts you could go even higher, not higher than the weight load capacity, but you could go just as high. Like the EQ6R, I've had 70 pounds on it, and it's rated at 110. I'm sorry, the 8R is rated at 110, and I've had 70 pounds on it, and it works great. So each mount is different. You'll have to judge each mount. and those are those mounts. We already spoke about weight capacity, 1 to 2/3. Make sure it's with or without counterweights, and also make sure it fits your budget. You're talking 800 to 1,000 for the 100, 2,500 for the EQ6R, 6,500 for the EQ8R or more. So you want to make sure that it fits your budget. We spoke about different axes. We spoke about periodic error. Mechanical can be reduced. Periodic error correction by software. There's things like T-Point and PEM Pro where you could make a periodic error correction curve and load it up to the mount, so you could actually make the periodic error corrections so your tracking works a lot less. You want to talk a little bit about polar alignment. Polar alignment's not scary if you have the right equipment. You need something with an altitude adjuster and an azimuth adjuster in order you could make your axis here tilted and pointed to the North Celestial Pole. So if you don't have something that could, number one, tilt your scope to your latitude and shimmy it left and right, polar alignment can be very easy, especially with the addition of polar alignment software like either SharpCap or the PoleMaster, or even Nina has a three-star polar alignment as well. ASI Air has also a polar alignment routine. So for a better result, don't go skimpy on the mount. You know, get a mount you could grow with. There's nothing worse than somebody buying a mount, and Scott has personal experience on this, where you buy a mount and find out you've outgrown it before you even started. And you want to make sure that you always think one step ahead. That's what I do. If you think that you're at this level, you might want to go to, if you're at a Skywatcher Adventurer, you may want to go to an AVX. And then once you're done with that, go to the EQ6R. And after that, you're back up to those 5,000 plus mounts. Remember the weight capacity, polar alignment materials, balancing. We spoke quite a lot about tonight. Get a good guide camera and guide scope. And there's my Jar Jar. I said that already. Have fun with your images like that. Keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And thank you for listening. I hope I didn't bore everybody to death, but that's and as we go back, and Scott's drooling on himself and snoring, and Eric left and Pete
and
left,
Eric and Peter gone.
You know, I love the support, guys. I love it. It is.
Oh,
great.
that's freaking amazing.
God. Well, I knew Eric was gone, but you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that you couldn't have planned that one better. That was amazing.
And here they come.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So we get back to the show. I'm done with my presentation. Figured Eric's still working with his man outside. Pete went to the bathroom, and Scott's drooling, sleeping on himself. And there you go. He's back.
Scott was the same way. Scott was the same way. He just woke up, so he's asking, what did he miss?
He just woke up. Yeah, everyone's sleeping. Everyone was so bored with my presentation. That's what happens. I put people right to bed. But
it's some really good points in there, about the mounts and all. I mean, a lot of people push their mounts. I mean, the manufacturers will come out and they'll tell you, hey, this thing can hold this much, yada yada yada. That's all well and good. The CGXL is a fabulous mount. There's nothing wrong with it. Great mount. And it'll support the C14 for visual.
Yep.
But you start throwing 10, 15 pounds of gear up there, on top of it, and before you know it, you're over the weight limit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, you know what? So Dan, you brought up a very good point. I always mention the same thing like you say, is plan to where you're going to be 3 to 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Don't think about where you're at today. Think about what you're going to grow into, because that's going to predicate everything based upon what the mount is. Because we all know the mount's the most important piece of equipment. So don't skimp on the mount. Plan where you're going to be 3 to 5 years and grow into it.
Yeah, because there's not yet. You know what, Tarek? I can't agree with you more. The EQ6 and the Atlas EQG. Okay, they're both in that. Now they're in the $2,500 range. They used to be 19 or 18. Now they're like $600 more. But I can push those too. I can push those pretty high. Like the EQ6R was weighted for 44-pound capacity, and the EQG was rated at 40. I ran that EQG for 4 years with about 33 pounds on it and was a rock star. It was no problem. Now, I don't know if I just got lucky and got a really good mount, but man, 4 years and I had no problems with it. Then the EQ6R, I've been running that with 34, 35, 36 pounds on it. Max 44. Not a problem. Not a problem. Now, again, do what I say, not what I do. So I wouldn't tell anybody to put 40 pounds on a 44-pound mount. I wouldn't tell anybody to do that. But I know from my experience with that mount, I think it's a little bit underrated. It could probably be a 50-pound mount easy. And it works great. It really does. And people in the chat are talking about. So the focal length on that, I was using the 127. So that's 952 millimeters. So it's not super long. The sample size, let's see, I was running a 6 micron camera. So I'd have to look up the actual sample size. I'd have to do the math on that. Not too quick on that, but I know Dave's got the calculator. He's doing it right now. But it's been great. Now would I put a 11-inch Schmidt on there with 44 pounds or 40 pounds on it? Probably not. I don't think it would work as well because you're at a longer focal length. But
now the 11-inch Celestron with the CGXL, you could load that up with an Eagle and a guide scope and a huge long train. You're all set. Don't try it with the 14.
Nope.
Trust me.
Been there, done that, right, brother?
Been there, done that. Yeah, the CGXL is great for the 11 and below.
Yeah,
it's fabulous.
Let me ask you guys something. There was a mount. There's a mount out there, and it's primarily made in Europe. I believe it's called the Track the Stars Panther.
What
you
was
ever
it?
heard of this one? The Panther mount.
Yeah.
Track the Stars.
Yep.
It's an alt-az mount.
Yep.
However, you can purchase what they call the rotator to mount on it and then you can put your camera and do long exposure AP.
So what is it? Is it just a field derotator?
Well, basically, it's the same. You know what it is, Dan? Dr. Scott was looking at one of those initially because he wanted to put both scopes on it. So basically, you got the pier, the scope, and then you could put your two scopes this way. So it's an alt-azimuth setup. But basically, look at a plane wave, right? You're spending how much money? For $10,000, you get a plane wave L350. Now, I'm not saying that that's a portable mount. Yes, you can put it on what Scott's got, like a wheelie bar, and you can bring it out. You can run it in alt azimuth. You can run it in equatorial mode. You can actually put 2 scopes on either side. So now what you do is you get the wedge based upon the site location that you're at, and now you got the perfect mount, because basically you can run that thing 10 minutes unguided. It's that good. Once you get it balanced in the X, Y, and Z axis, and literally you can put a 10, 12-inch RC, and on the other side of it, you can get like another easy Keller plate, and you could put maybe a Takahashi 120 or 130 on there. So now you've got the best of both worlds. But for 10K, you really can't beat it. But once again, it's dependent upon, is that not a prosumer mount per se? Right. It's more of a permanent setup. So
yeah, that's that's definitely not a prosumer.
And what the Panther, it's a prosumer mount, but you can, it's portable also. It's unlike the plane wave, because you can purchase a tri-pier for it. Or you can mount it onto a pier. It's and it is alt-az, and it does have that rotator. I'm not sure exactly how it all works, but you can do long exposure, and now you don't have to worry about you can go unguided. You don't have to worry about meridian flips or things like that. So, and it costs for the AP versus visual, because you have to buy the rotator and everything. It's these add-ons. It was about $8,800, $8,900. And yeah, go ahead, Pete.
See, the key with alt azimuth is, the big issue with that is that, guess what? You're going to suffer from field rotation. But you know what? You compensate for that if you do get a camera rotator. Then you automate the rotation based upon how that field rotation and what that percentage of field rotation is. So, you know, as I said, there's ways that you can skin a cat. It just depends upon what it is that you want to grow into. And that's what I always say is that most people call and say, this is what I'm looking at. I ask questions. With your permission, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? What is it that you want to do? Are you doing visual? Are you doing astrophotography? What is it that you want to really get into in the next 3 to 5 years? Because once again, you're right. Buy once, cry once. You know, you can buy what you want right now, but guess what? How many times have we seen people cry multiple times? Because guess what? They said, hey, I bought what I wanted today, but now 8 months later, I wish that I needed to grow into this.
Yep.
So you're absolutely right. It's like, think about it. People go, my God, I just don't have the money right now to do what I want to do. Well, in that case, then you know what? If this is what you truly want to do, and you have to make that decision, then wait. Truly wait. Get what it is that you want. Don't settle for anything right now that you're going to outgrow within 6 months, because you're going to go, I should have done this. And how many times of would have, should have, could have? Those are famous last words, aren't they?
Yeah, I agree with Peter on that. I was very, very fortunate that I was able to sell that CGXL I actually sold it for more money than I paid for it. You know, but that was only due to, you know, inventory problems, you know, and COVID, and, you know, people needing this or that. But that's not the norm.
Scott price gouged.
I did. No, actually, I didn't even offer that. The fellow that I sold it to, he was so hot for that mount that he said, I'll give you this for it. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, no problem. And then he turned around and paid $600 in shipping on top of that.
Yep.
And you know what? Is he happy? That's all that matters. Is he happy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, we gotta spin the wheel, and we gotta do a picture of the week.
Oh, definitely.
We gotta do that.
Yep.
So let's take a look at the pictures of the week first. Let me see if I can get this up here. AstroWorld Live site. I have new messages on Facebook. All right, wow, that's nice.
You know, and not for nothing, while he's hunting for pictures, I think that that dew heater ring that I got for that scope, Pete, is probably going to be very, very useful down here in Florida. The humidity down here is crazy.
And you got a
It
hurricane.
is absolutely insane.
Yeah, you got a new hurricane coming your direction, I think. It's
Yeah,
just
you
starting
do.
in the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, but it's gonna spin north. They ain't making nothing of it.
Okay.
It's gonna spin north.
So here we go. Here's the first person. This is
Oh, hey, Mark's on board. Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy?
first picture right here. This is
That's really pretty.
WR134. What's that?
I love the purple.
You love the
I do.
purple. Got plenty of purple. And you got
It's
I think
incredible.
this is this the flying dolphin? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I think. And isn't there a wolf red
This,
star?
yeah, it's the Wolf Rayet area. Yeah. Yeah, Wolf Rayet,
A lot of
WR134.
A lot of hydrogen.
Yep.
That is a very thick hydrogen region, H2 region.
Yeah, this was taken with the Rasa 8 with a 268 mono. Guided with the 120 mini. That's an interesting combo. But got great results on that. So nice job with that. Then we got another Iris from Emily Minoli. This was a Zenith Star 81.
Dustin, that is really amazing.
Yep. Zenith Star 81 with the 183 and L Pro.
Yeah.
13 hours. Portal 4.5.
Is it me or are the stars a little bloated? Maybe it's just me.
A little bit. Looks like there might be a little bit hot, but
Little star reduction.
yeah, I like the detail and the when you start getting brown, and it's not just black. You know, that's when it starts getting really cool.
Yeah, it's a great shot. A little star reduction, I think, would just set it off.
And then you got the Heart and Soul
Heart and
again.
Soul. Yeah.
That's Carol
Beautiful.
Santulis. This was done with the Red Cat and the 2600 with the L Extreme.
For those that don't know, the Merlot is in there in the Heart Nebula. Yeah, deep in there. Didn't we have another picture of Merlot?
Not this week, but there's been a couple.
Yeah.
And those are the three. I think that's it for the three.
Yeah, it's giving you this so far. It's giving you the votes.
I know. I'm gonna get rid of those, but
okay.
But 12 votes, 5 votes, 4 votes. So the winner, right there.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Yep. I'm just gonna call you Pan because I'm not gonna butcher that name. So I'll just call you Pan. And
looks like raspberry jam, man.
I'll make it go. Panagiotis Galanopoulos. How about that?
There you go. That's it.
Definitely Greek.
How about that? I gave it a shot. I've been thinking about it for 2 hours. So
definitely Greek.
Yep, definitely Greek. So nice job.
I looked that up. WR134. What's it's in Cygnus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in Cygnus. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's beauty.
Yep.
It is a beauty.
Nice job, Pan. All right. So
congratulations, sir.
Now we got the Masters of Pixinsight giveaway we got to do. So for those of you that don't know and missed out, they were doing a sale, 10% off for the because they're starting their Pixinsight for newbies all over again, starting on, I believe it's Tuesday the 13th, if I remember right.
That's their third iteration of that, isn't it?
It's their third run through. September 13th at 7 o'clock. Normally the class is $35. But if you go into the view our workshops and workshops, and you could go to the series, you could buy the whole series, and the series is $175 for the 6 of them. Basically, you get one of them free if you buy it buy it all at once.
There you go.
And then there's the intermediate ones. And then the photons to photos, where they go into each individual object and run it through one at a time from soup to nuts. So really, really cool stuff. If you haven't gone to their website, check it out. If you're just starting with Pixinsight, this is the best time to start. It's the first one in the third rendition of Pixinsight for Newbies. And to be honest with you, even for those of us that have been using Pixinsight for a while, Pixinsight is always evolving. So I always pick up something new. So it's not only for newbies, it's really good for anybody. So right now we have 93 people on the wheel.
Whoa!
Yep.
Look at that.
Coming to be 100, and we're gonna spin the wheel right now. You like that? I put the picture in the middle. You like that?
Yeah.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. Here we go. And I'm getting dizzy just looking at it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Keith Wankowitz is going to be, he is going to be on a hit list, this guy, because not only did he win this tonight, he was also the winner of the Eagle back in July. So,
oh, wow.
So Keith, you won again. So congratulations. Very nice job to Keith. And Pete's gone again. And but yeah, so congratulations to Keith. Just watch out. I think you got a target on your back now. But but yeah. Hey, Sean, we'd be happy to give away a Pixinsight package as well. So feel free to throw us a couple. We'll make a wheel for you. But
yep.
He does a really great job. Sean's been a friend of mine for a long time. He's a very good friend of the show. He comes on all the time. Even when I'm cleaning my room, he like comes and joins in. but
he's my cheesy brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so what else we got? Anything else? I mean, what else? You want to see how the Crescent's doing? Let's see how the Crescent's doing. We'll do a last check.
Hey, not for nothing. Don't forget the Artemis launches tomorrow.
It does. Oh man, that's right.
It is.
I'm hoping to be able to take my 10x50s out into my driveway and look east.
And there you go. There is.
That I'll be able to see it.
That's 23 images.
So what's your exposure time, Dan?
No, Wade.
Just 2 minutes.
He didn't spill the cheese on my shirt.
Only 2 minutes. My guiding's doing outstanding.
Yeah, it is.
Does it say your RMS?
Yeah, 0.4.
That
that graph looks like a dead man.
0.43 arc seconds.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
So
plenty.
Except, what's with the purple color? Leave my purple color alone. I got five different profiles with 5 different colors, so I don't screw things up. This one just happens to be purple.
So quick question here. I'm looking now just to the right. I'll open that back up. Just to the right of the image, there looks like there's a graph with a bunch of, yeah, what's that right there?
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
Is that your frustration meter?
I honestly do not know what this is.
So it's got to be something that you got in there. I mean, it's related to the image, so it's in the image window. So it's got to be related to the
yeah,
image.
I'm not a clue. And I'll tell you this: if my image looks like this, I really don't care what this is. But
right.
But no, I really don't know. Maybe that's something. Maybe it's, Sean, maybe you're out there. Maybe you could answer that.
Hold on. I'm wondering, wait a minute. Just above it says start is 1.09 and then now is 0.66.
And the delta is 39.
Is that something to do with your focusing, or is that like full width half maximum or half flux diameter?
Could be. Not a clue. No idea.
Sean hasn't said anything yet.
Show him back to bed.
No, he's here.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, he said he can't see it. Oh, he's just listening.
Oh, you can't see it. That's okay. Just playing, Sean. Just playing. It's hard to see. Maybe, let's see. So,
Well, maybe he is watching.
let's see if I
I know he's
can-
not home.
Photo bombs he's had tonight. That's great. That's a good way.
let's
Oh,
see
he's
if
saying,
I-
okay, he's saying hard to see.
Yeah, hard to see.
Yeah.
This little box right here with the dots, I'm not sure what this is. Not sure.
Yeah,
Don't
some
know.
sort of a radiograph.
I'm gonna say that it's going down, so I'm just gonna say that's good. So
Right? Yeah, he's watching on his phone.
oh well, appreciate the support, Sean. Thank you for watching on the phone. Appreciate
He's,
that.
he's sitting there like, what the hell is that thing?
And of course, it's probably like an iPhone and be like, I can't zoom in, I can't do anything. It keeps
Purple's
on
burning my eyes,
flipping.
Daniel. He's like, the purple's burning my eyes.
Leave my purple
Yeah.
alone. My moonlight focuser is also violet. So
Uh-huh.
and I'll let you in on a little secret, guys and girls. When I was 6 years old, I used to wear purple socks because my idol was Donny Osmond. So that's
I like what Dave Barnes
You know,
said.
there are
It's the guy-
some things you just don't want on the internet, Daniel.
Yeah, really. That's stuff like that stays with you.
Dude,
It stays on the internet forever.
let me tell you something. The amount
what-
of hours that I have online with me saying way stupid crap, my political career is completely over. So there's no way.
Probably.
No, well, maybe not on not in this lifetime, but I might be elected to president or something. But
Sean got the best definition. He says that's the show going off the rails, Brad. Started out high.
Mhm.
hey, you know what? It's Friday, but listen, we had a lot of good conversations tonight. Yeah, everyone's laughing about my purple socks comment, but hey, we spoke about mounts. We spoke about sensor analysis. We spoke about weight. Oh, wait! I got weight on the mind now. Well, we spoke about well depth.
Gain.
Eric
Yep.
gain.
Short exposure, long exposure versus long.
Yep. We spoke about a
All that
lot
fun
of good topics tonight, and I think until the last 7 minutes or so, I think we pretty much stayed on topic. So I think we're doing pretty well, guys. So stop busting our chops, okay? There's peanut
Be the
gallery.
ball, Dan.
What's
Be
that?
the ball, Daniel. Be the ball. Be the ball.
What are you, too good for your home? No, sorry. Suck my.
I
no,
watched
sorry.
that movie just the other day. But Caddyshack with Chevy Chase. Awesome.
That wasn't.
Love
That
it, love it.
wasn't. That wasn't Caddyshack. That was Happy Gilmore. What are you talking about?
No. It was long before Gilmore,
No,
man.
no.
Caddyshack. You don't remember that in
was,
Caddyshack? Where he was...
Caddyshack was no.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
That's
He was also like, be the ball, Danny. Be the ball. Remember when
oh,
he put
Danny.
the band,
That's right, Danny.
remember that?
Danny.
He put the
That's right.
he says, just be the ball. Be the ball.
Be the ball. Be the ball.
Be the ball. Gotta love that. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, baby.
Be the ball.
Well, I think.
Hey, yeah, and don't forget to go check out the Prime videos for the
I knew you were
new,
gonna say that.
Yeah, the rings. Yep.
Rings of Power. Saw
The
the
Lord of the
first 2 episodes last night.
Eric, what's the
Yeah.
focal ratio of your imaging rig? I guess he's talking about the
5.9.
one that you were just putting together. So
The
5.9?
FLT91 is f5.9.
5.9. Alex has a question.
Okay.
sorry to ask, but is there a phenomenal guide scope you might recommend? I just ordered the ASI 178 and hoping to pair it with a great guide scope, possibly thinking the FMA 230.
Well,
How about
first thing you want to do.
How about the Guide Star 61 from Williams?
It's a good one.
Well, what
It's
I
a fair
would
one.
do, I would calculate the image scale of your primary sensor in your
Yep.
primary camera, then do the image scale on your guide camera and your guide scale, and do not exceed a 5-to-1 ratio.
Yep. Absolutely.
And
Go ahead.
if you
Talk
can't do all that,
astronomy.tools. Go ahead.
go to astronomy.tools and go to the guide scale calculator.
Yep.
And put in your your telescope, your imaging train, what camera you're using, binning, all of that, and then put in that guide scope you have that you're interested in, and maybe the guide scope you're interested in, and 5-to-1.
There you go.
And that'll help you out. So
Don't
right there.
Don't exceed a 5-to-1 ratio.
Don't
There you
exceed
go.
a 5-to-1.
So right here is astronomy.tools, just like Eric was talking about. And you go to the guide scope suitability.
Mm-hmm.
Choose your scope. So let's see, Eric, what were you using? You were using the
The FLT 91.
FLT
So just scroll up
Fluorostar, right?
a bit.
Fluorostar.
Yep. A little bit.
FLT.
Go down. Go, there it is.
There it is. Okay. And what were you using? 2600?
I got a 2600 mono.
Bam. Okay. And then.
And for me, I'm using an OAG though.
Okay. Well, let's just say I use and I don't know if this is going to work. It might not work. It should work. I use the Explore Scientific. I'm sorry, the Skywatcher Evo Guide. Skywatcher. Come on.
I just saw it. Keep going down.
I know it's an alphabetical order. Evo Guide.
There it is.
Okay. And I also use a 178. Okay.
So
there you go.
Look at the ratio. Look at the resolution. You're within that 5-to-1 ratio, so you're okay.
Okay. The closer to 1 you get, the more your guiding is equaling your focal length of your imaging camera. So you're guiding at the same rate. So the further away you get from that, like Pete was talking about, once you exceed that 5-to-1 ratio, then your area of opportunity or your possible area of error becomes greater. And you don't want to do that. But I use the Evo Guide. What you'll call it. Scott was talking about the William Optics. Which
Williams.
one?
Guide Star 61.
The Guide Star, right?
Yep, the Guide Star.
And of course, it's not there. Is that it? No, 71.
But you can actually, if you know the focal length of the guide
William
scope,
Optics Guide Scope. There you go.
So
William Optics Guide Scope at 200 millimeters.
Yep, you can
still
plug it in
1-to-1. Now it all depends on your telescope. Now your telescope is going to change that. If you're running a 8-inch Schmidt, let's see, Celestron. Let's see, C11, whatever, C11. Now, this is no way going to work. You can't use that. You need a bigger guide scope to do that. So you may need to go with, a 73 or an 80, something of higher focal length or bigger or smaller pixels. Sorry, smaller pixels will do it. But this is a great guide camera. I wouldn't switch that. I would get the camera to match with the guide scope to get to that ratio. And that's I think the general consensus, just like Pete was talking about.
Yep. And personally, if this is just me and Dennis and maybe a few others, skip all that guide scope stuff and get yourself an off-axis guider.
Yeah, especially if you're up over 2,000 millimeter, you're definitely going to want an OAG.
You're definitely going to want that. But I'm even with me using my FLT 91 and it's at 540, and I've got my small OAG, and my 290 mini guide camera on there, 1-to-1 all the time. Don't have to worry about it, and it's nice stars, and it's not the problem.
You know what, though? You guys know me, and you guys know how long it took me to sell out of CCD cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Just this year, I went CMOS totally. Okay.
Yeah. So what are you saying? It's going to take you that long to to go to OAG instead of having a guide scope?
Probably.
Dude, seriously?
I like the guide scope. I like the separation. I just like that.
But see, you know what? Then but depending on how you're set up, then you got to deal with extra balance and extra weight and stuff like that.
It goes right on top of the eagle. There's nothing there.
Eagle schmeagle, whatever.
And you know what? I don't have long focal lengths that I need the OAG.
You don't need a long focal length for an OAG.
No, but you don't need an OAG for long. You don't need long focal lengths to use an OAG. But you do need an OAG for long focal lengths, or you should use one.
Let's talk about that. We've talked about this in the past. You got to get the largest pickup prism, and you got to get the largest sensor size on the guide camera, because then you'll have no problem getting guide stars. But if you get like the OAG medium or the small, forget it. You're going to be struggling. Get the OAG large. You get the largest pickup.
And they're done that.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I decided, because I think there's a chip in this prism all of a sudden in this Celestron. I just went ahead and ordered the OAGL, and I'm going to pair it up with my 174 mini. And I'm going to redo my entire train, and I'm going to put that OAG on with the 2600, set it up. And this way, doesn't matter. I'm using that same imaging train going from my FLT to my Schmidt, just moving it over. I'm not gonna have to worry about adjusting anything as far as focus between the back focus between the OAG, between the guide camera and the OAG and the scope, because it'll already be done.
Well, and again, here's the thing with OAGs and me. I like a lot of accessories. I like having my rotator. I like having a good focuser that may not be the stock focuser. I like throwing those. Now, an OAG can suck up anywhere from 17.5 to, depending how thick you go, could go up to over 21 millimeters of back focus that could suck up. Now, some people just don't have that.
Yep.
But if you've got a ZWO and you go that route, you've got the diagram right there of what you need to do to maintain your 55 millimeters of back focus.
Only if you stay in the family. Throw a third-party flattener on there and see how that gets you.
But still, it doesn't matter what the flattener's going to be. You're still going to be at 55 millimeters of back focus when you attach it to the flattener, because that first hit.
What if the flattener requires 86?
Let's talk Takahashi, guys. We got all kinds
or 146.
Yeah.
Well, then then why the hell are you buying that? Why do you need that kind of back focus for that kind of a flattener?
Talk to any edge. It's an 11 edge at 146.
Yeah.
Same with the 14.
And my but okay, so then you subtract 55 from that back focus, then you add on your spacers, and what's the problem?
Yeah, it's not.
You just get your precise parts and get it done right the first time.
Oh well, I'm not even going there. But go ahead, Pete. You wanted to say something.
Again, the secret to being able to getting focus is distance A equals distance B. Distance A is the primary camera sensor to the pickup prism, Distance B equals the guide camera sensor plane to the pickoff prism. Once you get that within about 2 or 3 millimeters, you start to fine tune it. You'll get focus. It's not that hard.
No, it's not. But there are plenty of flatteners out there that, you know, that don't require that 55, that require, you know, other
105,
sizes.
like that guy right behind me.
105, 146 is out there. That's the longest that I've seen. Actually, the OOUK that you know we've been dealing with is 231. I mean, so there's a lot of things out there. Now, when you sit there and you add third-party stuff, that an Asato is 58 millimeters, and then the Arco is 20-something millimeters, and then, or if you do a Moonlight, or if you do anything else, all that kind of stuff. If you're in that ZWO ecosystem, yeah, they do a great job of packaging everything so you don't have to worry about the back focus. They have a nice diagram and they do everything as they say, put this, and use this and this adapter, and you're done, right?
Simplicity at its finest. Lazy astronomers.
And
stand up.
And it's good. But you know what?
Eric,
go ahead.
Eric, you wouldn't do good.
Lazy astronomers. Stand up.
You wouldn't do good with a Series 5 camera rotator, focuser, and the secure fit adapters. To be able to try this whole thing
Go
works.
play Wave, man. Yeah, then come talk to me. I'm telling you.
I'll give you know what? I'll get back to you in about that 5 years.
Yeah. Dave, yes.
Let me get the kids out of the house.
I actually use calipers to measure my back focus. Yes, I do, because I am not good like that. I use everything.
But you also, to a lot of others' point, also, if you are, you know, if you're throwing in filters, you got to take the thickness of those filters into account as well.
Yep.
Because that's going to add on maybe another, you know, up to maybe possibly 2 to 3 extra millimeters onto your back focus, you know, depending on the thickness.
Eric, you brought up a good point. Let's look at the focal ratio, because now we're talking about the critical focus zone. If we're at f 2.8, 2.2, 3.5, you got a very narrow critical focus zone. You got to be dead nuts within that critical focus zone. So you're absolutely right. If you're at 5, 6 to 7, yeah, you got a lot more forgiveness.
Yep.
So that brings in a lot of that.
Oh, that's absolutely right. That's just basic physics right there. You know, that's why, you know, people they shoot terrestrial imaging in f, you know, 1.4, you know, or f 1.2, or some of these crazy lenses that are like 0.9. You know, I mean, that's great. You get great bokeh, but you know, you're from the plane of the person's nose to the ear, you can't get in focus.
Yeah, and you know what? Something that you and I were talking about the other day, Pete, and a lot of people don't take this into account when they're talking about back focus adjustment spacing. A lot of people don't take into account half their back focus travel tube, you know, because what they do is you know what, the focuser is 58 and my manual rotator is 23 and this. Oh, no problem. I'm at 55, no problem. And then you go to focus and now you're at 70. And then you're screwed and you're never getting in focus. So you really want to take into account your draw tube as well.
Yeah. So basically, really, when you look at it, right, you look at the accountability on what is the BFD distance on the flattener reducer. And what I do is I say, okay, take into account what the focuser is racked in, what then is the halfway point, and then you can start to do your calculations from that point forward.
Yep, absolutely. So like with just for example, I just did this the other day. The Asato has 25 millimeters of back focus draw tube capacity. So I start at 12.
Okay.
Say 12 millimeters. Now, okay, then I have the right back focus minus 12 at the middle of the focuser, so I can go back and forth So I'm able to get that nice
Sure.
U curve, V curve, whatever you want to call it.
Cool. Good show
Yeah,
tonight,
but that's
guys.
just
Great
that's,
show,
that's
man.
just
definitely.
common sense.
A lot of
But you know what, Scott? It's not common sense. It really isn't, because a lot of people just think I'm taking it. They don't tell you that you're buying a focuser. They just tell you how much back focus the focuser sucks up, racked in.
So you don't take into consideration the travel of the
No.
focuser?
No, it's from
wow.
end to end. Never. If there's anything standard, that's standard. I'll tell you that. Nobody tells you anything with the travel of the focus.
Yeah. Case in point, Takahashi's notorious for that, because
Ah.
what you got to do at prime focus, they give you, this is what it is at prime focus. Then you got to subtract what the travel distance is by half of that amount. So case in point, like an FS216 EDX4, right? It's 173 millimeters with a 30 millimeter travel. So you got to take 15 after that 173. So you're starting at 163, and then you take the CAA, the couplings, and all the other stuff.
And then you add all that in.
Yeah, otherwise you never get in focus.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people come in contact. When you got a 55 millimeter standard type of thing, that's that's okay, because it's been accounted for by the manufacturer. But a lot of people don't deal with that, because that's from flattener, and the flattener is always after the focuser. So,
Yeah. And the thing is people don't realize too, Dan, you got a point. The flattener screws into the focuser. So as the focuser moves, you're going to always have that constant degree of travel.
Correct.
And that's what's really throws a lot of people off. And then in case, like Eric says, your typical 3 millimeter thickness filters will compensate for 1 millimeter of additional BFD.
Yep.
So, as I said, when it gets into your real critical vocal ratios, where you've got like f3.5, 2.8, you've only got maybe 17, 19, maybe 20 microns of CFZ. You got to be dead nuts. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get focus, period.
Yep. All right. Good show, everybody.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. You want to take that? What was it? Well, I was, when you said everybody stand up, Eric, I almost started quoting Network. I was going to date myself. I was going to, I'm a human being, God damn it, and I'm not going to take it anymore. No, sorry. Yep. But you want to take a last look? Take a last look at the crescent. See where we're at.
Norm. I just keep adding different stuff until I get focus.
There you go.
That's funny.
And you can start to see now the nice nebulosity around the crescent. This is 33 images in the stack. So this is going to
I know. I'm trying to find that calculator or the formula to take into account everything you have and the filters that you're using for your back focus. I thought I saw it.
I'm sure there's something out there.
Yeah, I know that the formulas. I'm trying to find the formula so I can add it all up. I'm sure.
Hey, Dan, I found out what that graph is. Go back to that other screen you had. You notice up top it says show noise. You got it on. Go up to the top right there. That looks like, there you go. So that's what your noise is. So it's showing you the graph of what your noise drop is.
Oh, so this is with the first image of the stack, second image of the stack, third image. And this
it's a noise profile.
Got it.
Yeah, look at that. That's cool. I like that. That's a great little feature to have there in Luna.
That is very cool. It shows you that reduction in entropy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool, man. I tell you, these guys at Nina have done a great job, man. Every
it really is
version
good
they come up
software.
with, always something new.
Yep. I would agree with you, Pete. The more I played around with it, the more I'm impressed with it.
Yeah. I mean, and the fact is that it's free. I mean, look at the amount of detail that you get for a free program.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
almost guilty. You almost feel like, you know, you want to just send them money just as a thank you.
Yeah. So Mark had a question. So yeah. So that's the PI plugin directly for Pixinsight. I do have Pixinsight installed on the Eagle. So
is that for the stacking?
Yeah. So there's a new plugin for Nina. And I'll show you real quick again.
N divided by 3. That's what it is.
Okay, so this is the Pixinsight live stacking plugin,
Dennis.
and you could get it from plugins and Pixinsight tools. You just download that. I already have it installed, so it's in my plugins. And then what you do is you could add in a flat. This is no flats, no darks, no nothing. But you could add a flat master in there to get in there. And you just let it run, and it runs through it starts Pixinsight and runs the Pixinsight stacking on here. And actually, well, now it's doing a meridian flip. So but that's how that works. And yeah, all that's installed locally on the Eagle and works great. So
all right, guys. Nice.
Yeah, it works good. It works great. But yeah, you could donate to Nina. Feel free. It's definitely worth it. I donate once a year to them just because it's worth it. And anyway, all right.
Yeah, you
awesome.
see, I think SGP would do better if they did it that way.
Well, they did, and then they changed, and then people jumped to Nina. So
yeah,
you know,
talk about shooting yourself in the foot.
Funny. It's so funny how every couple of years there's always the new hot software data acquisition software. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
It was like SGP there for a couple of years. Now it's Nina, and you know, Voyager is kind of right in that same kind of scenario, especially, you know, with the scripting. You know, the drag and drop scripting is really nice. But you know, you keep wondering is that how does Nina do it without charging? I mean, God bless that guy, man. He's a guy we got to get on the show. Yeah. If anybody knows who this guy is, we got to invite him to come on the show because I would love to talk to him.
That would be a really interesting conversation.
You know what, Pete? I'll bet you dollars to donuts it's not anything. I'll bet you it's a team.
Oh, I'm sure it's probably a team. Yeah. And you know what? They're astro imagers, so they know exactly kind of what we go through. So they keep adding to it.
Yep. And they constantly update. So I don't know. I don't know how soon you're going to see another imaging platform for acquisition come up again, at least this decade. Yeah, Stefan Berg. Thank you, Ernie. It is a team, Mark said. So yeah. But I love the accent of the lady in my ears right now. The GSS, you could change the vocal. It's like slewing to coordinates. It's like funny, but anyway.
All right, guys.
All right.
Gotta get to imaging.
Yeah, man. I'm doing the.
I'm already so far behind.
Yeah, Meridian. It's flipping the scope. It's flipping.
All right.
What is that?
Sleep well, Aaron. Almost like they kill you in the morning.
Yes.
Nice reference.
Inconceivable.
Oh no, I can't.
I don't think you know what that word means.
Why does everything rhyme? Why? My name is
Inigo Montoya. I'm in the castle.
You killed my father. All right, everybody.
Hey guys.
You're in the pit of despair.
Yeah.
I can't. It's time. It's time to go. Everybody, have a good night.
Go watch Rings of Power.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. I need to get like 7 episodes, and then I'll start watching it because my mind is so shot. I don't remember from week to week. I can't. I need to binge and just be done. I can't.
Happy Labor Day, everybody. Clear skies. I'm rolling.
Oh,
happy Labor Day, everybody.
All right, everybody. Absolutely. Have a great 3-day weekend, everybody. have a good night. Let me get this thing rolling so we could get out. Eric's already gone. And go watch She-Hulk. No, I don't do She-Hulk. I do She-Ra. Let's get it straight. So She-Ra was cute at least. But everybody, have a good night. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody for the support. Thank you for the donation from Brampton Observatory. Thank you again. And if you want to become a Patreon, please go to our Patreon and become a member. And you get shirts and swag and stuff. It's all cool. So everybody, have a good night. Remember, as always, keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies. And we'll see you Wednesday night. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.